I'm estimating that 99% of podcasters are wasting time on editing, or they're paying someone else to waste time on editing. And this is because they're still using time-consuming, outdated methods rather than using Descript's AI editor. When I worked in radio, that picks a throwback. Things were just getting started with editing content on computers. But with where we are now, if Descript AI is like a self-driving car, then just editing content on a computer is like a horse and buggy. Wait a minute. Was a horse and buggy like the first self-driving car? Does that count? Now, I want you to know, I have one friend who said, look, I've been podcasting for 10 years. I'm stubborn and I'm not gonna change the way I do things. And for him, that's great. But if you want to be able to do your show faster, in this video, I'll show you how to edit your podcast quickly while still creating high quality episodes, even if you're not tech savvy. And if you've used other AI tools, you know sometimes they come with limits for how many times you can do something in a month. Well, if you're in that boat, I will show you how to get around those limits in a super easy, free way, all right? So stay till the end for that. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Descript. They don't know that I'm even making it. This is what I pay for and use in my own business, and if you want to learn more about it at any point, you can go to whydescript.com. So I'm here in my Descript account, apparently making the same face I make when my kid tells me they need a costume for school 2 minutes before we're supposed to leave in the morning. And what we're looking at is an episode of my podcast done by lunch entrepreneurs. But if your audio or video is not in here, all you have to do is drag it onto the screen. And the first thing AI is going to do is generate a transcript of everything. Now mine's already here because I like to record directly into Descript, because then I don't have to worry about transferring files later on. And even if you're recording with a guest, don't use something like Zoom. Descript Rooms is built in so you and a guest can record interviews or conversations. And then once you're done, both of those recordings are also available in Descript and fully transcribed. Your video or audio gets recorded on your computer, your guests on theirs. So in the end, even if somebody's internet connection isn't very good, you still get really high quality recordings. And one of my favorite Descript AI features is for interviews, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So the first thing I do when I'm editing is I come up here to Underlord, which is what Descript calls all of their AI features, and I select shorten word gaps, okay? And if I'm doing something I want edited really tight, like a YouTube short, I do 0.1 seconds in between pauses. But for a podcast, I generally tend to do, if anything's longer than 1 second, then please cut it down to 1 second. Now, if you look at the bottom here, you'll notice this is currently 14 minutes and 44 seconds. I click shorten all, again, one click, it removed 50 word gaps, and it's already taken my file that I'm editing down 4 minutes less. Next, I go back to Underlord and I select remove retakes. I am far from perfect, and if you're the same way, you probably sometimes say the same thing more than once. And so Descript AI will find all of the times you said something more than once and remove the extras. You can go through and double check them, but it's worked so well for me, I don't even double check at this stage. I usually just do remove ignored text from script. And now those are gone as well, and it's shortened our editing already. And to be clear, what I've showed you so far takes about 30 seconds. 2 more AI features for your initial edits. This one is remove filler words, and I don't actually use this one because I want mine to sound natural. Sometimes I say or and I'm not worried about like yanking it out there. As I said, I'm far from perfect. But if you want to, it'll go through and remove all of that automatically. They call it verbal clutter. And then the other one up here at the top is called edit for clarity. You won't need the remove filler words if you use this because it'll remove the filler words. Apparently, if you go on a tangent that doesn't tie back into it, it says it'll clean that up as well. Like I said, I haven't used this one a lot, but wow, with how smart AI is getting, that's a pretty cool tool. And you've got some control for how aggressive you want it to be, low, medium, or heavy. And this little toggle here, you can actually have it regenerate parts of the script in your voice if you've uploaded a voice profile to Descript. Now, before we get to the next step in editing, realistically, you are going to want to listen to your episode back to make sure that it sounds the way you want if you've just blindly applied some of these AI tools. But when I play mine back, I usually play it back at 2x or even 3x, depending on the cadence. And so even that is much, much faster. Not to mention, you can usually just skim the transcript and see if there's anything else you wanted to take out relatively quickly. Now, I don't have a favorite child among my 2 kids, but I do have a favorite Descript AI feature. And it has to do if you have an interview show or a co-host where you have 2 different videos that you want to put together and have look really professional in just seconds. So again, coming up here to Underlord, I'm going to choose automatic multicam. And you know how when you're on a Zoom call, it has speaker view, if you've seen this, and it'll show who's speaking? It's kind of like like that, but better. So this first one, style, you can only show the active speaker or automatic. We found that automatic is much, much better. Cutaways, you can choose how frequently you want the AI to cut to the other person, like if they react while one person is saying something. And then there's use layout pack. You can have this off, but I recommend having it on, and then you'll see what happens here. I'm gonna hit submit, and it does take a couple of seconds, but not much more than that. And you'll see over here on the left, my episode has been cut into what Descript calls scenes. Each of these rectangle boxes over on the left are different scenes. And so here's the beginning of the episode where I'm setting things up. Then I welcome my guest on, it shows her. At times when we're both talking or reacting, it shows both of us. And it does all of this automatically in like 2 seconds. So back to my solo episode here. Maybe you recorded your episode and it didn't sound very good. There was background noise, somebody was mowing the lawn the day you recorded, or you selected the wrong microphone, but you don't want to redo it. Well, you can click over here on layer, and for every piece of content you have here in Descript, you can turn on what's called studio sound, and that will basically use AI to make the sound better. And it does a really good job, but it's not perfect. And here's the setting I want to show you that a lot of people don't know is there. Once you've added studio sound, if you don't like the way it sounds, you can just turn it back off. But you can also click this little toggle here, and there is basically a slider where you can turn the intensity up and down. And it is there at 100% by default, which is too much for a lot of stuff. So if it comes out too processed, you sound like a robot, just come down here and turn it down. The great news is what I've found is once you have a microphone in a space that you use regularly, you'll know, oh, I only need 20% studio sound to make it sound good. And if you're coming from a more robust editor and you're like, well, what about the other settings that I like to do with my audio? They have added compression, equalizers, all kinds of stuff in here that you can also apply to your audio. And if you want to add music or sound effects, you can just go here to stock, click on audio, and just type in something that you're looking for, and it will make a bunch of suggestions that you can add. Click the plus sign, and it automatically adds it to your episode wherever your cursor is in your transcript. And if you have a video podcast and you want to add B-roll on top of some of the stuff you're saying, let's say I want to add B-roll on top of this interview. I come in, let's just search for Fast Car. I heard that song before I was recording. All of this is video that is free to use with your Descript account. And then you can just drag it on top of the scene you want it to go on top of. It imports it because it's in the cloud, it's online. And just a couple seconds later, it's been added to your podcast. And AI even saves you time to publish your episode. I go up here to Underlord, I scroll down to Draft Show Notes, click on that. You can give it examples if you want it to look a certain way, but watch what happens when I hit submit. It writes an introduction, and then it creates chapters with timestamps, all done with AI. Huge time saver from going through before and going, at 1332, we talked about XYZ. There's even a separate tool here for your YouTube description. Include the description that you generated right here. Let's say you wanted to turn your episode into a blog post. Here in Underlord, I can go down here and ask it to draft a blog post, draft a social post. Basically, AI is built into this, and it will use your transcript of your episode to create whatever you want. It'll even go through and create clips where it'll take out the best clips of your episode and then turn them into videos that you can publish other places to grow your podcast. And of course, you can review them and choose the best one or two. I also like this Find Highlights AI tool because then it'll find nice short highlights that you could turn into emails, tweets, things you could post on Threads, LinkedIn, different things like that. Now, I will point out that like most AI tools, there is a limit on some plans with how many of the AI options that you could use. So I want to tell you how you can get around that here in just a second, but if you want to check out Descript, if you're not already using it, if you're using it, go use these features, but if you're not, check it out at whydescript.com. We'll link up to that down below as well. So how do you get around the AI limits? Well, here in Descript, all of the stuff that is video-based or audio-based, like studio sound or remove retakes, those are all actually editing audio and video, and those you have to do in Descript. But for some of the other stuff, like creating blog posts and show notes and things like that, you can come up here and click Publish, then Export, then choose Transcript, and just export a transcript of your episode. Then use a free tool like ChatGPT and ask it to do the same thing, and you can get really good results. Please let me know if this was helpful down in the comments. And if you have a podcast and you feel like your downloads are stuck, Watch this next video to figure out the 3 main reasons that podcast episodes get stuck and how you can grow your listenership really, really fast. All right? Check it out on the screen now, and I'll see you in the next video.